Friends, my name's Tom. I'm the pastor here, and welcome to the movie theater, Regal Cinema. You know, worship isn't actually a show unless you think of it that there is an audience, but it's an audience of one, and that's God. And we are all the performers on the stage, worshiping God, who is enjoying and being blessed by our worship. So we're in a theater. You're not at a show. You're at worship. We're continuing a series called Epic Tales. We've been looking at lots of different epic tales from the Bible. And, of course, because we're at the movies, afterwards we're going to go see a movie, or those of you who want to. I'm going to go see The Odyssey. So if you want to come see The Odyssey with me, it is rated R. But how many of you, I got a shout-out question, how many of you read The Odyssey as a teenager or kid? Or almost all of you. I read it in 8th grade. How many of you actually liked it? Many fewer hands up. I think technically I really read the Cliff Notes, not the actual book. I'm sorry, that's the kind of student I was in 8th grade. All right, we have some great musicians here today, and I want to invite you to stand and join in singing as they lead us.
Sing together. 1,000 generations falling down in worship to sing the song of ages to the Lamb. And all who've gone before us and all who will believe will sing the song of ages to the Lamb. Sing your name is the highest, your name is the greatest, your name, it stands above them all. And all thrones and dominions, all powers and positions, your name stands above them all. And the angels cry, holy. Creation cries, holy, you are lifted high, holy, holy forever. And if you've been forgiven, and if you've been redeemed, sing the song forever to the Lamb. And if you walk in freedom, and if you bear His name, sing the song forever to the Lamb. We'll sing the song forever and amen. And the angels cry, holy, all creation cries, holy, you are lifted high, holy, holy forever. Hear your people sing, holy to the King of Kings, holy, you will always be, holy, holy forever. And sing your name, and your name is the highest, your name is the greatest, your name, it stands above them all. And all thrones and dominions, all powers and traditions, your name stands above them all. And the angels cry, holy, all creation cries, holy, you are lifted high, holy, holy kings. Holy, you will always be. Holy, holy forever. You will always be. Holy, holy forever. Amen.
Our God is indeed holy forever. How's everybody doing this morning? Now is the time for kids to go to Kids Creek. We do have children's care in the party room, which is down the hall. There'll be Sarah right there. So if you do want to go to Kids Creek, now is the time to be dismissed. For all of you who don't know, but I'm sure a lot of you do know by now, I am the Sycamore Creek Summer Pastoral Intern. I am John King, coming from Durham, North Carolina, from Tom's alma mater, Duke Divinity. Go Blue Devils. I know we're in Spartan country. Ugh. I have been hosting a small group every other Sunday, and it's tonight. So if you guys like art, if you guys like beverages, if you guys like conversation, come out to Horrocks from 7 to 9 p.m. We don't have to talk about art. We can talk about anything from the color of the sky to the color of the grass. I just want to get to know you all, and I want you all to get to know me. So 7 to 9 at Horrocks in the beer garden, I will be there. So come get some food. Come get a beverage of your choice. Everybody has their connection cards, right? Today, we are going to be drawing for tickets to the Odyssey. So please, please, please fill out your connection cards, and there will be a time for you to put them in the blue basket. Not only do we want you to fill them out, of course, today for the movie tickets, but we want to get to know you guys, and we want you guys to get to know us. Just put your information down. It does not take long at all. Just make sure you do that so we can stay connected with you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Selfie of the week, Allie and Ivy, they look so beautiful, right? So now is the time to take your own beautiful selfie, and I'm going to do that right now. And you see the hashtags you can use. Everybody smile. 1, 2, 3, cheese. All right. So please, please, please take your selfie, hashtag it, and put that on your social media platforms. We thank you so much for spreading the love of Sycamore Creek throughout the world. And without further ado, our message begins with this.
My kids keep getting older and older, and this is a big year for us. We have several milestone birthdays. My youngest, Sam, just turned 13, and my oldest, Micah, turned 16 in November. But I still remember when they looked like this here on the screen. Look how cute they are. And then they started to grow up a little bit. By the way, that baseball, I coached baseball for one season. That was one of the highlights of my fatherhood experience. And then my kids defected to soccer, which I didn't know anything about. But I've come to learn it. And of course, this is them now. Red Ryder BB gun. He didn't shoot his eye out, just in case you were wondering. And Sam is quite our entertainer. They've grown, they've changed, and I find myself at this point in life, and actually through the whole point of being a parent, asking the question, do I have what it takes? Do I have what it takes? And actually, the honest answer is right now, as they're teenagers, I feel more confident than I've ever felt as a parent. You know, they say like that the teenage years are tough, but that hasn't been the case for me. I have loved every age more than the last age. But there's still a nagging uncertainty in the back of my head. And if you are parents, you know this. You're like, are they going to come back to me in 20 years after like being in therapy, or 30 years or 40 years and say, you know, Dad, when you did that thing, or when you didn't do that thing, or when you did that thing that you said you didn't do, or you didn't do that thing that you said you did do, or that thing that I wanted you to do that you wouldn't do, like that hurt me. That hurt me. And I'm like everybody saving up for their therapy fund. What if I'm kidding myself? What if what I'm doing right now really is transferring the pain from my childhood on to my kids? The conventional line in preaching is don't talk about your wounds, talk about your scars. So don't talk about the things that you're in therapy right now for. Talk about the things that you dealt with in therapy quite a while ago, except that I'm going to walk a line today. I'm going to talk about some things that I have been struggling with in therapy right now or working through. My family is a complex family. I was born the firstborn child, but when I turned 5, my parents adopted my brother and my sister. And my brother was 7 and my sister was 3. So I like to call myself the firstborn middle child. Then when I was 7, my parents had my only biological sibling, which is Rick, and he's the little baby there. And look at that truck. Don't you wish, that was my grandfather's truck. It's such a sweet truck. But then my parents ended up getting divorced and they both got remarried, and with my stepmom came another brother, Joe, who was not actually my stepmom's biological child because he was adopted when he was an infant, and then my dad adopted him so that he would have the same last name as me, and then my mom got married as well, or remarried, so I have 2 stepsisters. So all in all, I have 3 brothers, a sister, and 2 stepsisters. Now, when my sister's daughter, my niece, was in kindergarten, one of the assignments was to create a family tree. And we all laughed. I actually texted my sister. I said, "Have you got a picture of that family tree that she drew?" I never saw it, but she said no. So I tried to, I was like, I'm going to start to create it. And so this is what I started. And I was like, no, this is way too complicated. So I talked to ChatGPT for a little while, and this is what it came up with. There you go. Just think, if that's not clear, if you're confused, that's okay. My family of origin is very confusing. Now, the point of today's message is that the hurt that you hide becomes the hurt that you hand down tomorrow. And there is something here that with my family growing up, most of my adopted siblings had a hard time in life. They struggled a bit. And my brother Joe especially struggled. My brother Joe died a couple of years ago in a car accident. But he was in and out of jail and prison as an adult he was in prison or jail more than he was out of prison or jail. And my other adopted siblings also struggled. They were in juvenile detention. They ran away quite a bit. And so what ended up happening inside of the family system that I grew up in is that I was the easy one. I was the one who didn't mess up much. I didn't struggle much. And so I didn't get a lot of attention. It's not that I didn't get neglected, but you know, when they're struggling and they're in juvenile detention, it pulls the attention away to them. The ones with the most trouble or trauma got the most attention. And so I learned to not expect or want or need as much attention from the people that I really did want the attention from, my parents. Now, this messes with me when working with populations that have historical trauma. Whether that's working with people of color or working with the LGBTQ community, because their trauma deserves most of the attention, right? Like as it should. But it replicates a family of origin struggle for me. Now, I'm not trying to do the trauma Olympics here, okay? But that's something that I have to work through so that I am not transmitting that same pain on. The hurt that you hide today becomes the hurt that you hand down tomorrow. All right, we're going to give you a chance, because we like to stop in the middle of our messages and give you a chance to catch your breath and talk about the topic. So we're going to give you a chance to throw your family under the bus. What was your family of origin like? Did it tilt towards healthy or did it tilt towards harmful? Now, if your family of origin is sitting with you, you can lie. I'm giving you permission. As you don't have to get into the depths of it with your parents right here, okay? And if you don't want to talk about this at all, you can just sit and think for a while. Let somebody else who says too much, gives too much, they can do all the talking, all right? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Let's talk about it. All right, now that your whole family's been thrown under the bus and your trauma has been brought back up to the surface, let's do something with it. We're continuing in a series today called Epic Tales, and it was first preached at the largest United Methodist Church in the United States, Church of the Resurrection in Kansas City, Kansas. And this particular message was preached by Wendy Crosstick, and here she is with her family and her husband, Scott. Wendy and Scott, by the way, were at Duke while I was there. Go Blue Devils! John, I get no love here. I get no love here. All right, so there's a group called the Bible Project, which does an amazing job, animating Bible stories. And they've done one of the epic story that we want to look at today, and it's Joseph. And it actually gives you a whole view of the Bible. Now, Micah, you're going to need to, this music is accidentally playing behind this slide. So you're going to have to stop the music as we play this next video. Otherwise, we're going to have music behind the video. So we are in a movie theater. This is an amazing space, an amazing screen, and I want you to sit back, enjoy, and relax as we go through the story of Joseph and Genesis. Watch and listen.
walking through the book of Genesis, which is made up of these two main parts.
And the first part begins in the garden, where we watch humanity spiral downward in self-destruction, and it ends in the Tower of Babel, where a rebellious humanity is scattered by God.
Then the second part of Genesis zooms in and focuses on just one family.
And right in the middle is this story that links the two parts of Genesis together and helps us understand what the whole book is all about.
So how do we get from the Tower of Babel to the story here in the middle?
Well, after the scattering at Babel, there's this genealogy, and it follows one of the tribes all the way down to this one guy named Abram.
You probably know him as Abraham.
And God starts making all these promises to Abraham, like he's going to bless him and give him a ton of kids. And he says that through him and his family, all the nations of the earth are now going to find God's blessing. So basically, God is trying to restore humanity back to the goodness of the garden and to his original intentions for the world. So it's like his rescue plan for humanity. And that's why the whole second half of Genesis is about this one family. And so you have Abraham, and then he has his son Isaac, who has Jacob, and then Jacob has 12 sons. And to each generation, God renews his promise to bless them and all nations through them.
So because of this promise to use this family to rescue the world, it's pretty easy to read these stories as examples of how to be a good person.
But actually, for the most part, this family is totally dysfunctional. So for example, let's go back to Abraham. This whole story is about God giving him and his wife Sarah a family, but two different times. He basically gives Sarah away to other men by denying that she's even his wife. And then Sarah gets impatient about having a son, and so she makes Abraham sleep with her servant girl, which then causes all of these other problems in the family.
So they get really old, and you begin to think that there's no way they're going to have a kid of their own. But then, miraculously, they do. It's Isaac.
And Isaac, he has two sons, Esau and Jacob, and it seems like things are going pretty good.
But Jacob, the younger brother, wants the family's inheritance, which belongs to Esau, the older brother. So he devises a plan where he's going to steal it from his father, Isaac, who at this point in the story is now old and blind.
Which, who does that? Horrible, stealing from your blind father.
Yeah, and then he just takes off.
So Jacob goes on from there to have 12 sons, big family. But Jacob loves his 11th son, Joseph, way more than all the others. And so he gives him the special Technicolor dream coat, and his brothers, because of this, come to hate him.
So much so that they plan on killing him.
But they don't. They instead just sell him as a slave down in Egypt.
Now, while in Egypt, through this crazy series of events, Joseph goes from being in a prison cell to becoming the second in command there.
And so later on, the whole Middle East falls into this food shortage. And Joseph's brothers, they come down to Egypt looking for food. And then when they get there, who should they find as the ruler of the whole land?
It's Joseph, that guy they sold into slavery. But he actually saves them from starving to death.
And so here you have it. These are the great-grandchildren of Abraham who have done this heinous act to their brother, but God has transformed their evil into something good.
And that's exactly what Joseph says here in the last paragraph of the entire book. He says, you guys planned all of this for evil, but God planned it for good, to save people's lives.
Now, these words, they conclude the book because they actually summarize the message of the whole story so far. Humans keep choosing evil, and we are thinking they're screwing up God's plan, but he keeps turning their evil back into good. And somehow, he's going to use this family to restore humanity back to the garden.
So that's the book of Genesis. But we still don't know how exactly he's going to use this family to bring us back to the garden.
Well, yeah, but this is just the first book, so that's what the rest of the Bible sets out to answer.
So, Joseph's family of origin is pretty messed up. It's pretty messed up. It had its own set of problems. His brothers were stuck. They're stuck in jealousy. They're stuck in envy of him. His dad showed favoritism, so it's kind of understandable, but he does some problems along the way. They are stuck in a belief that somebody else's blessing, Joseph's blessing, means their curse. And when it comes to jealousy and envy, jealousy arises when love, loyalty, or security is threatened. And envy arises when our access to material success, resources, or recognition is jeopardized. Joseph's brothers felt both. They felt both envy and jealousy. Now, their father loved Joseph more. That's the jealousy. And Joseph's dream suggested that he'd rule over them. That's the envy. And their response? Throw him in a pit, sell him into slavery, lie to their father. Now, we do the same thing all the time. We may not do it literally. I hope you haven't sold your brothers or sisters into slavery, lately at least. We do the same thing, maybe not literally, but we do it emotionally. We do it relationally. We scroll through Instagram and we feel jealous. Why do they have that marriage? Why do they have that body? Why do they have that career? Why that vacation? Why don't I have that vacation? Why do they have that certainty about faith? We see someone else's success and we think it diminishes our own. We see someone else's gift and we resent it instead of celebrating it. And here's the trap that we run into. Unexamined jealousy and envy don't just hurt us, they hurt everyone around us. Richard Rohr is an American Franciscan priest. He's an author, speaker, and he says this: if we do not transform our pain, we will most assuredly transmit it, usually to those closest to us. That's the gut punch, right? Usually to those closest to us. The ones that we love the most are the ones that we end up transmitting their pain to. The brothers transmitted their pain. They threw Jacob in a pit. They sold him to strangers. They deceived their father for years. And Jacob, grieving a son who wasn't even actually dead, lived in that transmitted pain for decades. Now, I write my sermons a long time before I actually preach them, and then I work on it several weeks leading up to it. But this morning, as I was working through this, I couldn't help but see the parallels in this story, between this story and one that's happening in the news right now with the death of Nolan Wells on Horn Island. Now, if you're not familiar with this story, Nolan Wells is a young black 18-year-old senior in high school who went with some friends on a boat out to one of the barrier islands. This is a regular thing if you've ever been down south. My parents live in Florida. You take boats out to an island, you party on them. There's all kinds of people out there. It's a good time. But his friends left him on the island. There's debate about why they left or what happened. And then his body was found 2 days later floating in the water. Now, this is, by the way, one piece of this that I didn't mention. Nolan is a young black man, and most of his friends are white. Most of the people that were with him on this trip were white. There's one that was biracial. There's so many parallels between these two stories. Joseph's brothers created a story. A wild beast killed him. Nolan's friends say he stayed behind with a young woman that he met on the beach. But she has disputed that in talking to the news. There's evidence. Joseph's brothers show a coat of that Joseph's coat, Technicolor coat, dipped in blood. And Nolan's friends returned his phone keys to Nolan's mother. Why did Nolan not keep his phone with him? But then maybe the one that struggles, particularly if you're in the black community, that you struggle with the most, is that these are your friends. These are the ones who you are supposed to be able to trust. And maybe something happened between them. Maybe something happened. Nolan was with friends, not enemies. Joseph was with his family, not his enemies. Now, there's been a lot of news coverage about this. Al Sharpton said that they're not saying that it's racial, but they're not ruling it out. It's just that there's a history of racial violence in our country, and Mississippi in particular, but don't think it just happens in the South. and black deaths being quickly swept under the rug. Something doesn't match up in this story. There's so many things that don't seem to play out. It's almost the identical story as Joseph and his brothers. Now, the story of Joseph doesn't end there. It takes a turn. It takes a turn. We don't know where the story of Nolan Wells is going to go yet. There's an active investigation going, but Joseph's story takes a turn. Joseph is thrown into the pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison, but Joseph didn't stay stuck. Scripture tells us again and again that the Lord was with Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph. He's thrown into the pit, and the Lord was with Joseph. Where was the Lord? With Joseph. He's in the pit, and the Lord was with Joseph. He is sold into slavery, and where is the Lord? With Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph. He ends up in Potiphar's house, and Potiphar's wife takes a liking to him and frames him as he tries to maintain his integrity, and he gets thrown back into prison, from Potiphar's house back to prison. Where was the Lord? With Joseph. The story tells us over and over again that the Lord was with Joseph. Now, when Joseph is put into prison, he becomes a model prisoner. He ends up being put in charge of the other prisoners. And Pharaoh's cupbearer and Pharaoh's baker end up thrown in prison for, it doesn't really tell us why, but they end up being thrown into prison with Joseph. And they both have two crazy dreams. And they tell Joseph the dream, and Joseph says, well, I can interpret that dream for you. And he says to the baker, do you want the good news first or the bad news? And the baker says, I want the good news first. And Joseph says, there is no good news. You're going to be executed. To the cupbearer, he says, you want the good news first or you want the bad news? Cupbearer says, well, I guess I'll take the bad news first. Says, there is no bad news. You're going to be restored. You're going to be restored. And when you do, remember me. Remember me. Remember me. Now, both happened. Both of these things happened. The baker was executed. The cupbearer was restored to Pharaoh. And we read that in the prison, the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love. Where was the Lord? With Joseph. This theater, just absorbs sound. You guys are so quiet, all right? Let's say it with gusto. Where was the Lord? With Joseph. Yes, the Lord was with Joseph. So then, lo and behold, Pharaoh has a dream. And the cupbearer had forgotten about Joseph this whole time. But where was the Lord? With Joseph. The cupbearer forgot Joseph, but when Pharaoh had this crazy dream, the cupbearer remembered and said, hey, there's this Hebrew Israelite that was in prison who interpreted the dream of you remember your baker and me, and he got it right. So maybe we should ask him. And so Pharaoh asks Joseph, he pulls him out of prison. And Pharaoh asks Joseph, what is this dream? And Joseph says, listen, you're going to have 7 years of prosperity and 7 years of famine. 7 years. And so prepare for the time of famine while things are going well now. And Pharaoh pulls Joseph up into his court. And where was the Lord? With Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph. Pharaoh puts Joseph in charge of the planting and the harvest. And during the 7 years of the famine, Joseph's brothers hear that there is plenty of food in Egypt. Now you can start to see, oh my gosh, Joseph's dream is coming true. Joseph's brothers travel to Egypt and they meet Joseph, but look at him. He's they had thrown him in a pit and sold him off to slavery. They haven't seen him, and this is what he looks like. He's Pharaoh's right-hand man, and they don't recognize him, but Joseph recognizes them. And in that moment, Joseph has a choice. Does he transmit the pain, or does he transform the pain? What does he use with his new power? And he struggles. He's a human being. He goes back and forth. In fact, he goes off to the side. Like if he's at a theater like this, he went out into the other theater and he cried and wailed so long that you could hear him. His brothers could hear him, and they're like, oh my gosh, we're toast. And Joseph comes back in and he makes the decision. He makes a decision. He reveals who he is. He is the one who you sold off into slavery. And he chooses, instead of transmitting the pain, to transform it. He transforms it. Joseph doesn't punish them, but he cares for them. This is the famous verse from this whole story. You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. Joseph's transformation wasn't cheap. It wasn't quick. And by the way, I think some people read this verse and they say, well, God orchestrated this whole thing. And God orchestrated like Joseph being sold off into slavery so that this whole thing would happen. And then you end up like God becomes the author of pain and suffering. And then you read it into your own life and you say like, oh, well, God is making me suffer and pain and struggle so that something, I don't think that's how it works. We live in a broken world, and pain and suffering and trauma happen. And here's the good news, that God doesn't waste any of it. God can take the pain and the suffering and God can transform it rather than letting you transmit it. God doesn't waste our pain, God uses it. Not to keep us stuck in an abusive situation, but to transform us into agents of grace. I always feel like whenever I talk about this sort of stuff, I have to put a little footnote or like a little asterisk. I'm saying like women have been so abused in the church by like preaching like this that they're told like stay in abusive relationships, or like slaves were told to stay in your slavery. Like this is not what this means. This is not what this means. But God doesn't waste the pain. God turns it into something beautiful. Joseph could have used his power for revenge, but instead he used it for reconciliation. He could have said, my dream came true, and now you are bowing to me. But that's not what he did. Instead, he said, come closer. Let me care for you. David Kessler, author and grief expert, says, loss is what happens in life. Meaning is what we make happen after loss. Loss is what happens in life. Meaning is what we make after the loss. Joseph made meaning. Joseph made meaning. He found God in the pit, in the prison, in the palace, and that presence transformed him. Where was God? With Joseph. With Joseph. All right. Sometimes you don't see it, and so we're going to give you a chance to chat. Have you had an experience of seeing God's presence in a challenging situation after the fact? If so, what was it like? Let's talk about it. So let me finish my story, my family, with you just a little bit. One of the things that I have noticed as I become a pastor is that my family prepared me well to be a pastor. Because I interact with a wide range of people. I mean, look at your neighbor, left and right. I interact with you, and I interact with you. Like, I interact with you, and I interact with you. And my family wasn't based on biological connection. It was based on adoption. We're adopted into the family of God. God didn't waste that pain from my childhood, but God has transformed it. Here's the point of the message. The hurt you hide today becomes the hurt you hand down tomorrow. The hurt you hide today. We try to put that hurt in the basement, in the dark. You got to bring it up into the light. Bring it up. So here, I want to invite you to do a couple of things. Like, this is where the rubber meets the road. Like, so how do you not transmit the pain? How do you bring it up into the light? How do you not hand it down? All right, here's a couple of tips. Name the pain that you're carrying. Don't try to pretend that it doesn't exist. Name it. Name it. Bring it up into the light. Is it jealousy? Name it. Is it envy? Name it. Is it grief? Name it. Is it betrayal? Name it. Don't spiritualize it away. I hear so many Christians, like, just they use this spiritual language and they just pretend that the pain isn't there. Like, one of the worst is, like, whenever somebody's telling me this, I don't like try to correct at the time, but like, everything happens for a reason is such a bad theology. Like that's spiritualizing the pain away. Name it. Name it. God was not the author of your pain. Joseph's brothers were jealous. Jacob was grieving. Joseph was wronged. Name it. Name the pain that you're carrying. And then ask the question, what is your pain trying to teach you? What is your pain trying to teach you? Jealousy points to a longing for love or security. Envy points to a longing for recognition or resources. What is your pain revealing? What healing needs to happen in you? The pain shows you something about something that you need. I don't know if you all are familiar with the Gottmans, John and Julie Gottman. They're marriage researchers. They're like one of the preeminent marriage researchers. And one of the things that they teach couples to do is to look for the longing underneath the complaint. When your spouse complains, what's the longing underneath that? In the same way, what is the longing underneath the pain that you carry? The longing is probably something that God put there. Number 3, choose transformation over transmission. Now, this is the hard one, right? This is the hard one. Will you let God transform your pain, or will you transmit it to those? Who are you going to transmit it to? The ones closest to you. The ones you actually love. The ones closest to you. Will you stay stuck, or will you take a step, even a small one, toward freedom? Choose transformation over transmission. The next one is trust the white line. What the white line? You know the white line on the right side of the road as you're driving? Have you ever thought about why that white line is there? I came across a little video here recently from the Wall Street Journal about the history of that line. Watch and listen.
This is one of the greatest inventions in the history of America. Yes, this. The white line on the right side of every road. This is John Van Nostrandor, who came up with the stripe of paint that shaped the planet as we know it. It's hard to imagine that this obvious idea could have been so radical. But for most of the 1900s, drivers didn't have many visual cues besides lane markers and the center line. If they veered to the side, they often couldn't see where the road ended, especially at night and in bad weather. This wasn't just a theoretical problem for John Doerr. As family lore goes, he was such a terrible driver that he managed to drive his own granddaughter off the road while driving her to the hospital to give birth. He first pitched his idea for a white line in 1952 to the Connecticut Highway Commissioner, who wanted nothing to do with it. So he quickly embarked on an aggressive PR campaign. Digging through the archives, I found letters to bankers, governors, Herbert Hoover, and even Mary Martin, the star of Peter Pan on Broadway. Doerr's line was first tested in Connecticut. Then came an experiment in Ohio, where the results were unequivocal. Roads with his line saw a 37% decrease in fatalities and injuries. And soon enough, Doerr's line was everywhere. It had gone from one guy's idea to the official policy of the United States. This single line of white paint has saved countless lives. It can be found across the country and all over the world. And now, we wonder how we could have ever lived without it.
Are you in fog right now? Is the suffering and the pain so much that you can't see where you're driving? Look at the white line. Look at and what is the white line? What is the light? The white line is this. The Lord is with who? You. The Lord is with me. The Lord is with me. That is the white line. When you can't see your way forward, when you are stuck in so much grief and trauma and pain, the white line is the Lord is with you. The Lord loves you. You are a beloved child of God. I longed to be the beloved child in my family, and I didn't get as much attention as I wanted. But I am a beloved child of God. That is the white line that I look at. That is the white line. Turn to your neighbor and say, the Lord is with you. The Lord is with you. That's the white line. It's the thing that has led you before, and it will lead you again. The hurt you hide today becomes the hurt that you hand down tomorrow. The story ends up this way, the epic tale. So Joseph and his brothers and their families continued to live in Egypt. Joseph lived to the age of 110. 110. Do you know we have somebody at Eastwood who just turned 100? Donna Stevens just turned 100, and we're going to celebrate her in a couple weeks back at Eastwood. But man, if I as good as she is at 100, we all be doing good. But Joseph lived to 110. He lived to see 3 generations of his descendants, his son Ephraim, and he lived to see the birth of the children of Manasseh's son, and they lived happily ever after. Well, until they got so populous that the Egyptians turned them into slaves, and then God had to raise up another leader, Moses. But that's an epic tale for another day. You have to come back for that one. The band's going to come on up, and they're going to lead us in a song. Or is this a standing up song, or is this a sitting down song? Sitting down song. They're going to lead us in a song. You're going to stay seated. The Lord is with you.
Where I lay it down, every burden, every crown. This is my surrender. This is my surrender. Here is where I lay it down, every burden, every crown. This is my surrender. And I'll make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Oh, and I'll make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Here is where I lay it down, every burden, every crown. This is my surrender. This is my surrender. Here is where I lay it down, every lie and every doubt. This is my surrender. And I will make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Oh, and I will make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to, Jesus. up the ground of all my tradition, break down the walls of all my religion. Your way is better. Yes, your way is better. Shake up the ground of all my traditions, break down the walls of all my religion. Your way is better. Yes, your way is better. Shake up the ground of all my tradition, break down the walls of all my religion. Your way is better. Yes, your way is better. And I'll make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. And I will make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Here is where I lay it down. You are all I'm chasing now. This is my surrender. This is my surrender. Here is where I lay it down. You are all I'm chasing now. This is my surrender. This is my surrender.
Join me in thanking God for our musicians this morning. Hey, pull that connection card back out that you got in your program when you came. And as John mentioned earlier on, we're going to do a drawing for some free movie passes. They're not just to the Odyssey. You can take it to any movie that you want. But 2 free movie passes, 2 free drinks, 2 free popcorns. I am going to be going to see the Odyssey after the service is over. So if you want to join me to see the Odyssey, I think we can make the 11:30 showing, which is literally across, because it's like 15 or 20 minutes before the movie actually begins. That's enough time to go grab something to eat, and then it's actually just, again, across the way there. But put your name and your email on that connection card so we can connect with you. Flip it over on the back and you'll see several next steps. First of all, our South Lansing campus is doing a tiny pantry drive in August, all of August. And they're asking people from South Lansing to bring in items to put in the tiny pantry so that no neighbor goes hungry. Now, we have a tiny pantry at Eastwood as well, and we could use items whether we're doing an all-month drive, so bring those in. And our Potterville campus has a food pantry, but they get most of their food, I think, through the food bank and Meijer and so on. So anyway, I'm sure they take donations as well. Our Potterville campus is doing a back-to-school bash. It's a way to support local teachers and kids, and that is coming up on August 17th from 6 to 7 o'clock. Mark your calendars. Come out and show the schools that they are important to us. John mentioned that he has an ABC event tonight, art, beverage, and conversation at Horrocks Beer Garden. Even if your art's not your thing, you can bring your own art. Actually, we just sat down and I showed you my photographs from college, and you thought they were pretty good. And he's a photography student. I was just a minor. You were a major, so I take that as high praise. But even if you don't have any art, just come for the beverage and conversation. Or if you just want the conversation and not the beverage, just come for the conversation. John is only here for 2 more Sundays. 2 more Sundays. So this is your last chance to get to know John and for him to get to know you. I think you have 1 more of these after this. So make sure that you come tonight and hang out with him. Now, after the service, we're going to do the Odyssey, and at least that's the one I'm going to. It is rated R, mostly for gore, as you can imagine. There's lots of other movies, though, so if you want a family-friendly movie, there's lots of them. Stick around for that. But I'm going to go see the Odyssey and come and hang out with me. I think our ushers just passed the blue buckets. You put your connection cards in there. You can give to support our mission. But most of our giving comes in electronically, and so you'll see a QR code there up on the screen, and you can give electronically. Literally, like at Eastwood, I think like 75 to 80% of our giving comes in electronically. I'm not sure about the other campuses, though. Well, they've already passed the buckets, but let me celebrate with you that your offering brought a new baby into the world, sort of. Our nursery worker at Eastwood, Monica Sina, just gave birth to Declan Ray this past week, and he was a little 6 pound, 11 ounce, 18 inches. He came several weeks early, so he was in the NICU, but he's doing fine. And Monica is really grateful for your support. She has said several times that as she's worked in the nursery, that she couldn't have imagined feeling welcome in a church, and this feels like her family. In fact, when we were visiting her, John got to go visit her with me this week. She's like, "I'll be at church on Sunday," and I was like, "Oh no, you won't. That's cute. You won't be at church." But she's not even working, and she wants to be here. I'm sure you'll see her as soon as you can. So thank you so much for all the ways that you support people like Monica. We got one more song, and this one, we definitely got to stand for this one. Will you stand and join as these wonderful musicians turn our hearts again back towards God in prayer through song?
All throughout my history, your faithfulness has walked beside me. The winter storms made way for spring. In every season, from where I am standing, I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. Help me remember when I'm weak. Fear may come, but fear will leave. You lead my heart to victory. You are my strength, and you always will be. I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. I see the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless. All my sin are rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. Sing. I see the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless. All my sin are rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. And I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life, yeah. And I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. Sing. And I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. And I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. So why should I fear? The evidence is here. Why should I fear? Oh, the evidence is here.
All right, we got to do a drawing here. Iris, you're real close to me. Can you reach over and pull one of those out? Okay, hand it to me here. Who we got here? Now, that's actually Pastor McHale's parents, who now own a place here in Lansing. So come and see me afterwards, and I got some free tickets for you. So stick around for the Odyssey. It'll start in like 15 or 20 minutes across the way. Go get your tickets. At Jonah, great epic tale of Jonah. Here's a final Connect question. I asked you how many of you have read the Odyssey. How many of you think the movie will be better than the book? Yeah, that's me. Hey, I'll see you next week. Until then, be curious, be creative, be compassionate, and peace out.